stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Move on to recognition.
All right, I'd like to first recognize our student representatives to the board. So Cassidy has been with us for 2 full years now. Just want to say thank you for everything you've done, for your dedication, and for providing such nice updates to the board. We did get Cassidy a small token of appreciation. We also did the same for Austin, who's our junior representative this year. She's having some car trouble, so she won't be here tonight, but she will be on her 2nd year next year. And we also get to introduce Elizabeth Pearson, who's in the audience. Elizabeth, thank you for being here. She's going to be stepping on and starting her 2-year commitment next year, and will be our junior representative to the Board of Education. So welcome in that capacity, and Cassidy, thank you, and looking forward to celebrating you again on Friday.
Thank you.
Good job, Kathy.
So next is district retirees. Everyone that has decided to move on to a new chapter was invited to come tonight to be recognized. And as you all know, it's a very busy time of year. Although many did not accept the invitation for the recognition tonight, I would like to read a few highlights from their career, if that's okay with you. So first is David Lund. He'll be retiring in August after 21 years as a custodian in the district. He's worked night shift at both the high school and middle school, and is currently the day shift custodian at the middle school, where he takes great care of everyone and everything. Dave is so well liked amongst his staff and students, the middle school has even held a spirit day called Dave Day, in which everyone wears something tie-dye. Tammy Magnan will be retiring in September after 26 years as a custodian in the district. She's worked in all 3 schools in the district and will be ending her career at the middle school as one of the night shift custodians. Tammy is a caring co-worker and a big supporter of the students in all their various activities. So thank you to Tammy and Dave for all their years as dedicated custodians. Candy O'Hearn is here. Hi, Candy. So she started as a substitute in the district in the year 2000 and was hired as a full-time paraeducator the following school year. During her 26-year tenure in the district, she routinely went above and beyond her regular duties by running the after-school homework club at the middle school, helping out at after-school track and field meets, chaperoning many school field trips, working the extended school year program, and has always been willing to step in to sub for a teacher if coverage was short. Last year, she was recognized as our District Paraeducator of the Year. Thank you, Candy. Keo Narita is not here tonight, but to celebrate him, I'll share a few bullets. He taught in the science department here at Lyman for 25 years and has served for the department head for the past 12. He has consistently been a leader with new district initiatives and is an integral member of various professional development committees, including the Galileo Project, an initiative for students to explore engineering opportunities, the Technology Planning Committee, the NIAS Steering Committee, the School Data Team, school scheduling, and has also helped with new staff orientation. He provides continuous enhancements of the science curriculum, and in particular the physics program. He was recognized as the High School Teacher of the Year in 2019 and again this year. So congratulations to Keo on his retirement. And last but certainly not least, George Gray. George started his teaching career in 1982 and has taught industrial arts, now known as Tech Ed, at Lyman for the past 41 years. He has also served as a department head for the majority of his tenure here. He expanded the program from woodworking to include metalworking, drafting, and implemented the district's CAD program. He continuously brought real-world situations into the classroom, including designing the athletic storage facility, refinishing signs within the community, and crafting various pieces of furniture for school use and fundraisers. Over 15 years of coaching experience in cross-country, indoor track, and outdoor track and field as well. Thank you, Coach, Doc, George, for everything that you've done for us in our district. These plants that I'll bring you in a moment are from our ASTI program. The students actually put them together. We typically give flowers to our retirees, and we thought it'd be a nice connection to have something come from our students for you all. Before I bring them to you, would either of you like to say anything? Not to put you on the spot, but you're on the spot.
Yeah, I could just reiterate a few of the comments I made maybe during the time that you read my retirement letter, where, just Lebanon being such a fantastic community. I started in actually teaching in Norwich for 3 years at a junior high school level. And then when that finished up and came to Lebanon, it's like a whole new world. It's like, good grief, city to country. We appreciate the support from administration, coaches, staff, students, parents, throughout the years with all the different things we've been involved in. And one of the items that also just like to include is that back in '96, the CAD program, after it first got going for a couple of years, was approached by a company out of Haddam, Connecticut. Long story short, they got a contract to work for Universal Studios down in Florida, and they were designing the 7 Islands of Adventure. And this particular company had a netting contract for the Jurassic Park section down there. And we had a small group of kids who was able to work on that. And it's one of those things, people asking, what are you working on? Well, I really can't tell you because sort of thing. But it's some of those, again, real world expectations or involvements with kids that actually, really is momentous for the school being so small, but then the kids get a real world experience with things. And I've enjoyed my time here, and depending on how things go, might be looking at some coaching again at some point in the future.
Yay. Nice.
Thank you, George. Candy, anything you'd like to add?
I just want to thank everybody. It's been very enjoyable working here at the high school. I feel like I'm leaving my family, but I'll be back to sub. They let me. I promise to keep my mouth shut.
That's where we are for subs.
Yeah, I know, and I promise to keep my mouth shut.
Jewish for.
But no, I have really enjoyed the opportunity to work with everybody, and I have learned a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I learned how to keep my mouth shut yet. Want me to grab you one?
Without smacking you all in the head.
These two.
That's okay.
Oh,
No, go ahead.
Red light, I'll put some glue in there
Okay.
somewhere.
they're on the heavy side. You got
Yep.
it?
I got it.
Yep.
Need a
Thank
hand?
you very much.
All right.
All right, thank you, Andy.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Wild. Thank you very much. We will move on to committee reports.
Shook his hand after I saw that.
Next, we'll move on to public participation. In accordance with Board Bylaws 9011, we invite public participation. Allotted a total of 30 minutes. Each community member is allowed 2 minutes. Is there any member of the community who would like to make a public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Nicole, is there a second? Second by Danelle. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. That is unanimous. Student representatives report.
Hi guys. So as you see, Austin isn't here right now. But I do have a report from her. There's not much since it is the end of the year. So to start us off, Spirit Week that we ended with May, we had Tuesday, BBQ Dad or Soccer Mom Day. We had Wednesday, anything but water bottle. Thursday was a teacher-student swap, and then Friday ended with class colors, field day, and Soka Senior. Senior Skip Day happened the 4th of June. Senior Banquet happened the 2nd, where seniors got their yearbooks and had like a class signing, where all of them got to sign their yearbooks before anyone else. Senior exams are this week, while all other students are continuing their regular classes. Senior walk was yesterday. It was a lot of fun. Graduation, as you know, is this Friday at 6. For track state opens, we had sophomore Elizabeth Pearson win state champions for the 300 hurdles, and sophomore Logan Davis won state champion in javelin throw, and the overall team finished in 5th place. For ECC golf, Tessa Ruffio, Ava Podarski, Sophie Garden, Sienna Wales, and Abby Sears finished top 5. Ava and Tessa finished in the top 8 individually. Memorial Day parade for Ag. Students had made a float and went through the Lebanon parade. There were 2 sheeps, Mackenzie's and Sabrina's, Austin's dog, and Charlie, the school's pony, was there. There's a new officer team. President is Piper McIver. Vice President is William Wilds. Secretary is Austin Ross. Treasurer is Joseph Child. Parliamentarian is Payne Hastings. Student advisor is Philip Mills. Sentinel is Casey, I don't know how to say her last name. Historian is Ali Sados, I don't know how to say her last name either. And Kira Strumskins was the reporter for the new officer team. At the Ag Expo, people brought their trucks, dogs, ponies, bunnies, plants, horses, ferrets, and more. And that was also a lot of fun. Prom was a success. A lot of students enjoyed it. Multiple students from Ag went to the state convention and competed there for multiple things. Some students were Austin Ross as the District 5 president, Ali, don't know how to say her last name, Haley Tromza, Kira Strumskas, Bryce, there is no last name for him, Tamsin, Addison Cone, William Wilds, and more. AP test happened. Students will hear about the results in July. And we also had Mayfest, which was also a really big hit. And that's all we have for today.
Oh, that's
Thanks,
a lot.
Cassidy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Good stuff. Thanks very much. Okay, report of Board of Ed subcommittees. Carrie, superintendent evaluation.
We just had a couple meetings over the last month, and we'll be reviewing that later on tonight.
Danelle, strategic plan and school committee.
So we met tonight to discuss a proposed new course. It's a ECE, that's Early College Experience, Environmental Science. We already have Environmental Science offered as AP, but this is to add in the ECE option. Already have a teacher certified through UConn, and we'll be voting on that tonight.
Thank you very much. Nicole, facilities.
Okay, facilities met this evening. First item on the agenda were the DRIP funds. We received $66,998 from the state. We will be using some money from this amount to finalize curb repair. That money is coming out of town surplus projects, is one of the town surplus projects, and we'll hold the rest of it for the future projects in case we have any overages there too. Next was a town surplus project, so there are 3 of them. For the cameras, the item left to do is replace the server at LMS, which will happen on June 23rd. The track has begun construction. Paving will begin or continue on June 16th. It will be ready for the beginning of next year. And the parking lot, we're looking at an end of June start date, and it's anticipated to have 2 weeks for completion. Next were the summer projects. Of the summer projects, the focus will be on the LES stairs, which they're currently still acquiring bids, bleachers for the softball field, ASTI runouts for the barn, and the tech ed welding facility will be finalized. We are tentatively scheduling walkthroughs for the subcommittee and any Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance members that want to attend, June 22nd at 9 a.m. and August 24th at 4 p.m. Next is the snow and ice contract. 5 contractors did a walkthrough. The final 2, TNT Landscaping and Papiti, were the ones that were looked at, and the board recommends Papiti Landscaping. Then we talked about the school renovation update. There are a bunch of items that are included in a safety package because the state can reimburse between 54% and 70% projects. And some of the projects, there's a lot of them, I'll just list a couple. The entry vestibules need to be secured, blinds, speaker and sirens for the exteriors, and strike entries, especially LES. Then we talked about the HVAC waiver. It would normally have to be in by June 27th, but since we are not at a point that we can move forward with the school renovation update, we are most likely going to apply for a waiver. That way we can look at HVAC in the future. And then the safety and security grant, more information to follow on that one. Any questions?
Okay, thank you. Brian's not here for safety and security. Rachel, finance.
No report.
Elizabeth, negotiations.
We had one bargaining session with paraeducators at the end of May, and the subcommittee met tonight to review tentative agreements with the paras and custodians, which are action items later in the agenda.
Okay, and policy. Governance, I have no report either. School renovation committee. Rachel, do you want to speak to any of that, or Andy might be able to, because Andy attended the last meeting as well.
Yes.
Similar to the facilities
Sure,
update.
sure. So I did attend the last meeting. I was happy to be there. I was able to facilitate some conversation regarding the connection from the SLAM school study and what our current owner's rep is trying to do to help lead that subcommittee. We actually had a meeting with SLAM where some members from the school renovation committee joined us. We were able to get some more details around their reporting, exactly what that meant, and Arcadius feels better positioned to move forward with the potential projects. We also were able to connect with Shipman and Goodwin regarding some details on solar panels and the agreements that the district has with those. Lastly, and I know Nicole referenced it in the facility subcommittee, the school renovation committee did ask that I bring like a priority list of projects that we feel need to be done in advance of the entire scope of the school renovation committee's work.
Any questions? Administrators report.
So in June, the school administrators do not submit a written report. They're rather busy getting ready for the celebratory events at the end of the school year. Everybody's looking forward to that. But they are still crunching numbers and looking over data. This is typically a time that we've done our school spring data report for you all. But we're trying to be reflective of the feedback that you've given me specifically regarding how we present that data. So we're going to capitalize on that time tonight during the administrator's report. We're going to do something a little bit different. So in your weekly update, I did provide a district data snapshot, which gave you detail and information on the assessments that are used, why they're used, and what that information provides. So hopefully giving you some more background on those assessments had you feel a little bit better prepared to see the data that was also provided to you in the weekly update in the spring data presentation. So rather than go slide by slide, I'm just going to ask the admin, you can do it right from where you're seated because it's not like we have a big audience to speak over, and just share a glow from your data, from your school or from your department and one of your grows. In addition to celebrating our student progress and achievement, obviously we're always looking for ways to improve, and the grows will give you all on the board a hint to what our future goals will be at the building level. At the district level, we'll be having ample opportunity over the summer to work as a leadership team to set the table for next year. on the targets we want our students to rise to and what our instructional goals will be with our teachers. So if we could start at the elementary school with a glow and a thought for a grow for next year.
Sure, absolutely. So I know that you received a lot of the information, and just so happy to be here to report on our already spring data. We were really happy with the progress that our students have made. To just some highlights, especially in ELA, remember we have the new phonics program, we have the ELA program too, we have My View Literacy. We're seeing some really nice progress with the implementation of those programs too. ELA, we have at least 4 grade levels achieving on or above grade level 72% to 89% in kindergarten. These are just outstanding scores too. We have met our typical growth targets for the school in ELA and in math. Only 1% of students are 2 or more grade levels below in ELA and math, and that's the first time we've seen that in 5 years. We have fully implemented science of reading and the science of writing, and we continue to work on that through our learning walks, providing feedback and coaching to make those, the science of reading and the science of writing even stronger at the elementary school. Grows going further, we will be implementing tier 2 interventions and small group instruction as a whole. Will be providing more fidelity in those areas. The small group instruction really provides a lot of differentiation to all students. It provides immediate feedback and targeted instruction, and it helps our students accelerate their growth too. So we'd like to really focus on that small group instruction and using progress monitoring in that tier 2 interventions. Thank you.
Middle school?
At the middle school, our iReady scores were pretty in line with what we've seen for the last 2 years. The only difference being this year we took the final assessment in March. So that's 2 months of instruction that the students didn't get, and yet those scores were still in line with what they had been. So that was a good sign. In terms of grows, as you know, inclusion is something that is of particular interest for me, so I try to dive a little deeper into our special needs populations. Our 5th and 6th grade special education cohorts showed some improvement. Our 7th grade students were flat, and our 8th grade special education students showed some regression in their scores. So those are areas that we want to probably wait for our SBAC scores to come out, but certainly something to look a little closer at what's going on there.
Thank you. High school?
I did want to celebrate our 9th grade PSAT scores. The 9th graders took the PSAT in April, and out of the last couple of years, they scored higher than we have scored total when you combine the 2 tests, the evidence-based reading and writing and math. And math one was particularly interesting too, because that is the highest score. Again, it's a different cohort every year with new 9th graders every year, but that was the highest math score on average that we have had in the last couple of years. So we do want to celebrate that. Looking at our juniors, I think you have the data in your packet. You can see steady improvement in their overall scores. Our PSAT scores in October of 2025 to the SAT that was taken in March of 26. We had a 42-point overall gain on that, and that is really in line with the state's, slightly more than the state average gain, which was 40 overall points. The evidence-based reading and writing gain was 22 points in terms of its growth in their score, and that was slightly ahead of the state, which had a 20-point gain. And the math score increased by 21 points, which again was very similar to the state gain of 20. So again, we're not necessarily as high as the state on those, but our gains were in line with what the state was.
And for our area of growth, we're gonna take a deeper dive into this, this data. We actually started today during our faculty meeting, and we're gonna continue to use the data to drive instruction, work on our student-centered instruction, which we started to this year, but we're gonna do more next year. Do our do-nows, our curriculum, and embed some strategies such as PSAT, SAT language into everyday instruction.
One thing that I'd also like to mention, Rita, for our PD back in March, had some people from College Board down to talk to us about specifically the test and maybe some more information that we can kind of glean from the results. And one of the person who came out here actually reached out and was asked if I wanted to be on some like a regional action committee for College Board. So I put my name in, and we'll see where that goes. Hopefully, I get to join that, and we'll be able to get some information directly from College Board as a result of that.
Thanks. Rita and Dawn, anything from a supportive lens on the district level?
Sure. So we just finished up DESA last week, and the final rating was very similar to last year's, with 9% of our student in the need range, and the rest, last year was exactly the same. The rest are between typical and strength. Since we finished last week, we haven't had a lot of time to look at the data, so I looked at all the competencies, and for each building, I picked out where the most growth was. So for LES, we saw the most growth in social awareness, LMS in self-awareness, and at the high school, there was a big jump in self-management, as noted by the teachers. And because, we're running into this not getting to look at the data next year, one of the things we want to look at is having the ratings end a little earlier so we can really dive into the data and use it in a timely manner.
So what I end up doing, my role predominantly is working with the administrators and the teachers on the data piece, determining what students might need interventions, specifically based on their benchmark and their diagnostic. So, as Jess alluded to, we're really going to be focusing on Tier 2, which is the classroom. So when the student's slightly lower, you really target within the teacher, the small group. If the level of the student score is significantly lower, that's when we have our interventions. We are very fortunate that we were able to rearrange some teachers around, and we now not only have a literacy specialist at the elementary, but now we will have one at the middle school. So we have now a K-8 incredibly strong team that I will be meeting with them by at least twice a month vertically. And so that's very exciting. The other exciting news is that, again, the science of reading has been brought up many times due to the legislation. We were fortunate due to a grant that we have that we were able to get all of our special education teachers K-8 certified in Orden-Gillingham, which is a specialized reading program, to help reduce that gap that we're seeing in our special education students. So we're super excited about where this intervention is headed. We have the right people in these places, and they're gonna have very specialized training, so we'll be able to really target those students that need it.
Thanks, Rita. So it's an exciting time to see how far our students have come and celebrate their growth. And I know everybody's looking forward to the end of the school year, but it's exciting for me to think about where we can go next year and hearing some of these ideas that our administrative team has for GROWS. I'm looking forward to some productive goal setting. Do you have any questions from the data that was provided or the assessments that are given? I know it's a lot to take in, but I wanted to provide that opportunity. If you had questions, the administrative team would be happy to try to answer them, or at least we can take note of your questions, concerns, and get back to you with information. Danelle.
Well, I'm concerned when I read that 50% is where we're at our middle school for 5th through 8th grade, or at or above grade level. It's not great, but I know we're working towards it, so, a comment. I have a hard time understanding the personal about the growth, like how do you measure growth? I get it, you get a goal and then you see how far you get towards it. When I look at the picture of it, it's like, okay, moving on. It doesn't really mean much to me, but I know it means much to people that have the goals. I think it's hard at the high school level. I know Jay said there are different cohorts or different kids that we're looking at. So it's like comparing apples to oranges in some ways. But I appreciate these slides make it easier to understand, like this is just grade 9 right now, not comparing them across different grades, different kids. You did say, Jay, something about, I think one of the comments here is, math is not where we want it to be. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, in terms of, if you look at like meeting that benchmark and meeting goal, we'd like to certainly get that higher. It has been a topic of discussion, even in the like area principals around here. Math statewide, even if you look at the averages on there, is definitely lagging everywhere. So we're trying to come up with some different ideas to look at how we're doing things. You know, when we first started going to the SAT as a measure for juniors, we rearranged our curriculum. So we did Algebra 1, Algebra 2. You know, students who came in at Algebra 1 took Algebra 2 as sophomores, took geometry as juniors. We did that to make sure that students had that whole heart of algebra background before they took the test. So we're looking at things, and we've actually reached out to area principals about this too. How many people went to that model? And not many went with that. There are some that are actually going to it. Montville reached out to me and said that they're looking at doing that. Woodstock is doing that. There's one school that actually teaches high school geometry in 8th grade. I mean, people are trying to do different things to shake up math.
It doesn't look bad with 9th and 10th grade. I think maybe it's just 11th grade that it's lower than. So I didn't know if you meant overall, like all math.
It is. I mean, which is something that we want to look at. It's that score. And again, I know you can't even compare. I mean, you're talking two completely different tests. And when the people from College Board came here to talk to us, and when you take the SATs, the evidence-based reading and writing is always first. Now remember, it's all done on the computer. So you're staring at that computer screen for that first part of the test. You're doing that evidence-based reading and writing. You're really focused on that. You get a break, and you got to go back to it, and you got to do math. And that's the way they've been doing it for a long time. The College Board people, I asked them if they would ever consider flip-flopping those, just to see what would happen. Would if you did math first when you're a fresher, would people do better? And they said they have absolutely positively no, not going to change that at all. So, I mean, the woman was actually kind of surprised that I even asked that question. I don't know why you'd be surprised about that, but you know, like we're asking those questions too, just even about the test.
No, a point not in defense of the data, because I would agree, and I think Mr. Johnson would agree, that a percentage of students at or above grade level is lower than where we want it. But remember, the assessment was given
A little
earlier,
Yeah.
so that could have impacted the data a little bit.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Can I ask a question? Yeah. Okay, well, first I'd like to make the comment that I don't know what LES is doing, but they're knocking this iReady right out of the park, so good job. I think with LMS, we talked about maybe eliminate, I don't refresh my memory, Mr. Johnson, but we were thinking of eliminating the spring one altogether and just doing fall, winter, and then just doing SBAC for spring. Is that still on the table?
Yeah, I don't think we've finalized the decision between myself and Rita, but that's definitely where we're leaning, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a whole initiative at the state level about reducing assessments or being very mindful of when and why you're giving them.
Right.
We tried it with 3rd and 4th. We analyzed the data and we found out that the information, because as long as, I think we talked about this last time at the curriculum subcommittee level, as long as you have that 12 weeks in between doesn't kind of matter when you take it. But what we found was that what we got from the winter was almost on par to what they got on SBAC, or they were getting, because we are starting to get all the scores, or they're a little bit better. So that's why I'm leaning, I mean, Chad and I haven't finalized, but that's why I'm leaning of getting rid of it in the spring, because it actually did show us what we needed. We were concerned that if we removed the spring, because the idea of the diagnostic is it aligns so closely to SBAC. There's like tons of studies on it, and they say that if you can target those kids that didn't do well on iReady, they will do better than on SBAC, right? That's what we want on those couple of kids that need that. So we were concerned by removing it, we wouldn't have that. But actually, we targeted the kids that we took that test in January, and we did see improvement. We did see it work. So.
Yeah, and I find that too, like, January, they actually try.
Yes.
Right? I saw similar results in my own class. And then spring, they don't care anymore.
Yes.
And even March is pretty late in the year where they're already thinking about, I'm done with this. But January, they're actually trying. So I was thinking, how about September or even October to January? Then you can see what the kids really do. Because with a score like this, it looks like they're not even trying. And I know that's not true. They are trying. It's just...
And Nicole, something else you brought up at the last meeting that we want to make sure we take time is to celebrate the kids. And so when you got rid of the spring, we were concerned, like, gosh, they worked so hard all year. Now, how are we going to... And we do such work on goal setting. So at a recent state meeting 2 weeks ago, we tried it, and it's working. 6 schools last year got their SBAC scores in time before the end of the school year, and they celebrated and did goal setting with their SBAC scores, and their scores improved this year because of it. So the state asked us all to try that this year.
Oh, good.
So we are doing it K through 8, where teachers are meeting with them and telling them, and then you'll get a more formalized, actually, they told me instead of waiting till September, as soon as I get the letters and the scores, I'm sending them out over the summer. So that's a new shift. So now I even feel, again, another reason I'm okay with getting rid of the spring diagnostic is because we are going to be doing goal setting and really centered talking conversations and have opportunities to celebrate. And again, SBAC talks about the growth. So even if you don't get a 3 or a 4, we can talk about the growth.
Right.
Do you recall, there used to be a trend where in 6th grade, I think it was math specifically, like the scores plummeted like every single year. So it was across cohorts. It was a big conversation amongst the board for a couple of years, I feel like. I can't remember when, was that right when you came?
Yeah.
I'm forgetting like the timeline, but that does not seem like that's the case anymore. It seems like whatever.
This year she was, I mean, if she was here, she would say she's disappointed with the scores that are coming in. It's the first time since she's taken over. But there's a lot of reasons, right? When we talked about, Danelle mentioned cohorts. Yep.
We've made curricular changes, there's been staffing changes, there's been automatic changes in the middle school.
Yeah. That's the greatest percent increase is 6th grade from fall to spring, so that's that's the biggest one.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments?
I just make a comment. Thank you, obviously, for the feedback that you always provide regarding our presentations, and I hope you appreciated getting that data snapshot with a little more information and better use as a companion document to look at the data. And I, just kind of first experiencing this, appreciated the more conversational nature of allowing us to be able to celebrate our students and tell you what our plans for the future, but also giving you more of an opportunity to freely jump in and ask questions. So we'll continue to ask and look for your feedback in providing the data, and we'll definitely have more to share in the future.
And remind me, when's the next time we'll receive data presentation?
So we'll give you some type of goal presentation. We typically don't do it right in September because that's such a quick turnaround, but we aim for October.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Chad, do you have to sit in jail for the day?
Not looking that way.
Oh.
Unfortunately.
Apparently you're gonna have to offer sitting on the roof or camping on the roof again.
That was the highlight.
Oh. My boys will never stop talking about
I
that.
know, I watched that forever, and then when Jordan was doing the music singing, I can't remember it.
Report of the superintendent.
All right, the standing agenda item on the town surplus projects. I know Nicole touched on some of this in the facilities update, but just to give the full board. So we had the cameras enhancements across the district, the track replacement, and the parking lot work across the district. So with our cameras, the only portion of that project that's left to do is to replace the server at the middle school. That will give us increased ability in terms of the length of time that we can have videos stored on that server, and will also give us space if we needed to add additional cameras in the future. That work is scheduled for June 23rd. The track, I'm sure everybody that's here noticed when they drove in today that old surface is gone. Danelle has the last piece of it in her hand. She can give it to her state champion daughter. So paving is scheduled to take place on June 16th. They're going to be putting a new layer of asphalt on the track. That will need to sit for about 3 weeks, and then they'll come back and with that new layer of polyurethane will sit better. They'll come back and do that about 3 weeks after. We do have the samples for everybody's viewing pleasure here. We will be going with our Bulldog Blue with some gray handoff lines and the white striping. And it will be a safe, first and foremost, surface for our students to compete on in the fall.
Exchange zones, not handoff lines.
Sorry, Mr. Track Johnson.
Exchange zones.
Can't wait till we talk about like basketball or football. And parking lots, so the crack sealing, line striping, and curbing will begin towards the end of June. We had some things, camps and other events that we've had to navigate around. They think the job will take about 2 weeks to do all 3 of the schools in the district. We've already prepared and made some internal adjustments, for example, where to park the buses, how staff can access the buildings. Administrators will be communicating all of that along with John as these projects get going. So it's an exciting time. And again, I'll end with just being very thankful for the town to provide the surplus funds to make much needed enhancements to our school. Any questions about the town surplus stuff? All right, so this evening was going to be even heavier in terms of presentations. There's a significant amount of presentations and data that needs to be shared that's required per legislation from the state. There'll be a future presentation later in the summer on a non-lapsing account that the state is requiring us to do. There's also a new superintendent report that has specific things that need to be reported. That also got pushed to August. But this one I decided to keep in June. So there's specific legislation on school climate. And in our district, school climate has always been extremely important. It's something we're always working on, looking for feedback and trying to create plans. But the state formalized that. If you remember back in our policy committee work, we adopted a school climate policy in our district. And some of the legislative requirements I'm going to touch on tonight and share what we've been doing. So as I said, here's a slide on why we're talking about school climate. Connecticut law requires districts to measure school climate through surveys and develop school climate plans. These plans identify growth and outline specific action for improvement. So in our buildings, we have school climate specialists. The principals have assumed those roles. In our district, we have a school climate coordinator. That's me, and they each have school climate teams that meet periodically through the year. We administered the surveys to our student, staff, and community members in the spring. We've already reviewed and analyzed that, and they've met with their school climate team and have plans already on surface level for next year. Looking through this presentation, trying to only highlight what you really need to know. So challenging behavior was a new term as well, if you remember, again, bringing you back to our policy level discussions. Essentially, this replaced what used to be bullying, okay? So we have had 2 reported incidents, 2 at the elementary school, 7 at the middle school, and 1 at the high school, which were reported. That does not mean they were verified, but the reporting of challenging behavior triggers a response from our administrative team to investigate, to share reports back to those who had brought these to our attention. But to have only 10 across the district in a full school year is pretty impressive. Some district climate themes. Strengths from our surveys showed that students feel safe, and that's always our top priority, that they have trusted adults that they can go and speak to. Parents have said that there's positive perceptions of our schools, and relationships among staff really stood out as a positive. Some growth areas across the district, we're trying to incorporate more student voice, which, not that we're looking to have growth areas, but it was nice to see that that fit nicely into our strategic plan. That's something that we've been working on over the years, so it gives us a continued focus there. Peer respect is something that we're still working on across the buildings. Parents and community members provided some ideas for enhanced communication, and always working to increase our staff involvement with these school climate initiatives. Specifically to the elementary school, we have the strengths listed here, but the key initiatives in the improvement plan are around further development and use of student council and leadership opportunities for our students, continuing to hone in and utilize restorative practices, and making sure that our social emotional learning and our positive behavior interventions and supports, that there's an alignment there. So the strategic focus and goals will be on increasing inclusion and maintaining safety as we move forward. At the middle school, there was celebrations regarding students helping other students, feeling that the peers are being kind and accepting and willing to help each other. That's demonstrating a stronger culture of empathy and compassion. Mr. Johnson has celebrated and done a lot of work with inclusion and belonging, and to see that that was a strength in our survey data is nice to see. And then respect for differences, just making sure that people are feeling respected and valued for who they are, and that goes across backgrounds, identities, and experiences. So that's great. Some areas of growth, that student voice is something they want to feel like they have a say in what's happening in their school and in their life at LMS. They'd like to play a greater role in decision making. That's a fine line, and there's a balance there. You want to make sure that their voice is heard, but sometimes they have to understand that those decisions are made at the teacher or administrative level. In terms of family and engagement, looking to strengthen the two-way communication and increase opportunities for parental input. So similar, students want to have a say in what's happening at the school. Parents want that as well. So we're really trying to be creative with how do we open that door and invite them into those conversations. And then the last one was on peer relationships and school culture. There is still some instances of unkind language or behaviors between peers, so working to highlight the importance of the ongoing social emotional learning. Within the LMS improvement plan, trying to do some specific things like maybe having students call a restorative circle instead of having that be so teacher driven, or increasing the role of the peer mediators to help minor situations and conflicts. Mr. Johnson has an idea to work with his school climate team to create a video or image campaign related to climate vision in action, so that the students have a better idea of what we're looking for. And we were talking about those creative ways to increase that two-way communication and to support families. They're considering launching a parent ambassador program for new families in particular. At the high school, strengths were around the adult support, the safety and belonging, as well as diversity. Student voice again showed up as an area of growth, so that's across the district. We're seeing that, so we really gotta place an emphasis there and be creative with how we're doing that. Communication again had showed up as an area of growth, and then there was a growth area that was somewhat exclusive to the high school, but it was around technology disruptions. There's been a lot of conversation about how do we implement the off and away policy with our cell phones, and there's been some increased conversation about how often are our students on devices across the district. Rita and I just had a nice conversation about how we can be mindful of using these instructional tools, but not relying on them in our classrooms. So within the LMHS Climate Improvement Plan, there's continued work on the Student Leadership Advisory Council, making sure that we're using the DESA data to make decisions on informed supports, increasing our peer support initiatives, continuing with our learning walks from an instructional perspective, but also being mindful of the data that we can pull away from that to improve school climate, and continuing to focus on our restorative practices also at the high school. We did also get some information on facilities and how that relates to climate. And there's some cleanliness concerns across the district. I know it highlights the elementary school here, but John and I have had some strategic conversations about how we can increase our visibility in almost like a learning walk capacity, but around facilities to try to make some improvements there. And obviously all the work that we're doing through our capital, through our DRIP funding, through town surplus helps with a lot of those facilities issues. So just skipping to the last slide here, which is, you know, what the board should know. We feel passionately that school climate's not separate from all that we do. It's so connected, and the better our students feel, the safer they feel about being here in our schools, we're going to see increased student achievement. We know that students learn best when they feel safe, connected, supported, and valued. And that these climate survey results are something that we're taking seriously and going to utilize to create improvement plans for the future. All right, so I know that was quick. That's one of those required presentations from the state. I can answer any questions that you might have, and this will be ongoing work that you'll see coming back to you in October, but then again in June annually. Question?
Yeah, I just have background questions. Did the state come up with a survey?
So the state did provide templates. So there was something called like the school collaborative that put together sample policies and templates for surveys, but we worked as an administrative team to, you know, curate what we thought would give us the best data.
Okay.
I did take every question.
Okay. Then I was wondering about questions like, when was it done? Because I think I filled one out, but I'm like, when was that? It was a while ago.
Yep.
Who filled it out and what kind of numbers? And if you don't have them all here now, that's fine. You can send them to me later. I'm just curious because, you know, sometimes you get a sample size that's so small. Student voice on every single school surprises me because we've improved so much on that. Like, how much do you want to have a voice on? You know?
Yeah.
So like, maybe it was 3 people answered and 3 people said want more voice. I don't know, I'm just curious about it.
So we actually did talk about, as an administrative team, trying to bump it a little bit sooner because we're feeling at the end of this school year, you know, providing not only the information to you, we're trying to have conversations with our staff and getting together with our school climate committee. So we talked about maybe moving it like a month sooner.
It was the end of April through May 10th.
Well, we were thinking about moving it sooner.
So that we could do it in our faculty meetings the first week of May.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it went to all students, all staff, and all families.
Huge, it was a good 70-ish families from the high school, maybe a little more from the elementary. Probably the lowest turnout was the middle school.
But we can get you that specific data. And we also we are going to continue to be mindful of how much is going home at different times, and how do we continue to, you know, send little reminders or nudges to get this, because this is important data for us.
Mm-hmm. And the staff were not forced to complete it, and we pretty much got almost every, at least certified staff.
And I think it was all anonymous.
Yes. Yeah, so I looked at the numbers, so it was like considering the number of staff population, let's say at the elementary, I think it was 40 something. It was close to almost everybody. And that was the case in all of the buildings. It was a very good staff turnout completion as well.
Thank you.
And then we only assess 3rd and 4th graders, so it's about 120 students too. I was just looking at 62 families, 40 responses for employees.
Thank you.
We had 24 staff, 213 students, and only 16 parents.
Pulling up ours right now. We had 31 staff, 154 students, and 58 parents.
Pretty good, I think.
It's
Now I don't have to
better-
get you that.
It was the best turnout since we've changed it. It's the best turnout of, in particular in the parents.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
So I do have a question. I mean, I think that's a good thing. So does the state determine the matrix and how do you measure it? Other than the survey, I mean, are the questions part of the matrix that come from the state, or is it developed by the faculty?
Yeah, so it's a good question, not something I'm sure the state would love me to highlight in our public meeting, but an example of legislators creating a mandate, the State Department not necessarily having the staff or ability to follow through on it. So there's no one at the state that we send these results to. They don't assess them in any way. They just require that you do them. Similarly with this non-lapsing report, in the legislation, it says to submit to the State Department. I reached out to the State Department. They say they don't have a staff member for me to submit it and that they'll get back to me. So we're kind of following through, but it really relies on our own analysis and our determination to make the plans based on our review.
We're required
Yeah.
to submit annually a climate improvement plan, and that they do provide a template for us. There's 5 standards that they provide that we fill in, and that's a committee that is faculty, staff, administration, parents, and students as well. So the data that we get off of this climate survey will be used to drive next year's climate improvement plan. Those are available on each of our district school websites.
Questions or comments? Thank you very much. We'll move on to the finance report.
All right, we are coming close to the end of the fiscal year, so we're feeling more confident to share specific details about our current standing for the 25-26 budget. So I've reported for several months that we have more remaining in our operating budget at those specific times, and again at this month as compared to the previous years. So on page 3 of the finance report that's in your packet, you see that we have about 15% of our general fund remaining, and historically we're closer to 11.5%. So I also shared that as we approach the end of the fiscal year that we were going to have a surplus, and we're starting to feel more confident again with what that number would look like. As a reminder, from any surplus that the Board of Education has, up to 2% of that from our operating budget can go into the non-lapsing account. And tonight I want to provide some of the drivers for this potential surplus. So there is approximately $300,000 of surplus in certified and non-certified staff salaries, which accounts for new hires for people who resigned or retired last year. We've brought in staff at lower steps in the associated contracts, and we also did not fill a couple positions. So that has $300,000 there. Roughly $400,000 is a result of the group health account with the 11 fewer enrollments. So as was shared as part of the budget process, we have the open enrollment period. We always budget based on what staff are on at that given time. We ended up having 11 staff members make enrollment changes, resulting in roughly $400,000. We had $60,000 in school tuition. $22,000 of that was budgeted to pay for a CNA instructor who resigned just weeks before school, and we were not able to find a replacement, and that course was not run. And then $36,000 was a result of budgeting 100% of the magnet school tuition, and we were only invoiced at 58%. So there was some legislation that was in the works at the State Department, and that didn't happen before our budget was presented. and we're only billed at 58% for those magnet school tuition. We also saved $16,000 in the pupil transportation line by condensing our midday preschool runs for buses. There's a balance of roughly $30,000 in the pupil service line because we had less neuropsychological and psychiatric evaluations this school year. $24,000 remains in the legal service lines as a result of less legal consultations, including less involvement in the negotiations that we had this year. As a reminder to the board, last year in our budget process, we bumped up legal because we knew that we had 3 negotiations to settle this year, but we were able to do so with less legal consultation. There's also less scenarios in the district that require tutoring services, so the other certified salary line has roughly a $19,000 surplus. In the dues and fees, we did not renew our membership with CABE. That was a board level decision, and our NEAS visit costs were less than projected, and that totaled a savings of about $12,000. And lastly, the reimbursement is greater than projected for excess cost, resulting in an additional $40,000 in surplus. So in summary, we're projected to have that 2% of our remaining operating funds that would go into the non-lapsing account, and then approximately $250,000 would be returned to the town.
Any questions? Comments?
How much is going into non-lapsing, Andy?
2% of our operating budget.
Sorry, what, all the stuff you just read, is it on a certain page?
It's not. These were notes that I provided by finance report.
Okay, because I was, way back in our packet on page 18, there is a list of budget transfers.
Yep.
And I assume a lot of the dollars that you're talking about is in here also.
Correct.
It's just grouped differently.
Yes.
Can you just repeat one more time the 40,000, the last thing you read?
Yes, so that was for excess cost reimbursement.
Thank you.
And then in the non-lapsing account, we have a current balance of $26,340, and after completion of some in-progress projects, it would have a remaining balance of $21,665.
Any questions for Andy?
I just have a agenda question. Did we just finish the finance report section?
Yes.
Okay, so we skipped numbers 3 and 4 of the report of the superintendent?
There's only 1 and 2 of the report of the superintendent.
Oh my god, I'm looking at the wrong one. Sorry.
That's good.
Where did that come from?
Is that Maze?
Yeah. Sorry.
No questions or comments on the finance report? Okay, we will move on to action items. So the first one is to act on the food service contract renewal. This is found on page 48 of your packet. Scrolling, I went back to page 18, so now I have to get back to where I am. Is there a motion to act on the food service amendment number 4?
Motion to act on the food service contract renewal.
Motion by Nicole, is there a second?
Second.
Carrie, any discussion? I do have a question. So this is the 4th amendment and there is no more. This is, number 2, it says the agreement may be further amended for up to 0 1-year renewal. So what happens next?
Martha?
Starting July 1st, we start working with the state on their intensive RFP process.
Okay, thank you.
And hopefully by the spring, we would bring a new proposal before the board. I'm not exactly sure of the full timeline, because it'll be my first go-around with dealing with this, but we're only allowed a certain number with the current management company, and then we have to follow the state's rigid program and go out to RFP.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Questions, comments, discussion?
Was there an increase in cost from last year?
On this, yes,
Yes.
yes. So the 25, 26 fees are listed,
Mm-hmm.
and then the increase is maxed at the CPI percent of 3.9.
Okay.
That's state mandated, we can't go any higher than that. And that results in the fee increase and then the current fees that we'll be paying for 26, 27.
You see that, it's 7592 and that's up to 7888.
Yes, I'm trying to like break it down to a parent, like how much am I paying for lunch?
Well,
Next.
next.
That's next, okay, got you.
That is next, yes. Okay. Any other conversations, discussion regarding the food service contract renewal? Amendment 4. Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. That is Carrie, Danelle, Nicole, Dawn, Rachel, and Elizabeth. All those opposed, please raise your hand. There's Carl. Any abstentions? Okay, that motion passes. So now on page 50 of your board packet is the 26-27 meal costs. Is there a motion to act on the meal costs for the 26-27 school year?
Motion to act on the 26-27 meal costs.
Motion by Nicole, is there a second? Okay, second by Elizabeth. Any discussion? So you can see the highlighted in yellow is the,
So LES is going up 5 cents.
yeah,
LMS is going up 10 and 15 for Lyman.
this will remain the same.
Sign of the times.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving the meal cost for the 26-27 school year, please raise your hand. That is Carrie, Danelle, Nicole, Dawn, Rachel, and Elizabeth. All those opposed, please raise your hand. Carl opposes. Any abstention? Motion carries. This time of year, you will see this. We have to approve it every year, so we'll see this again next year. Next is to act on snow and ice control contract. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the snow and ice control contract, and do I name the company? To Papiti Landscaping.
I can second that.
Okay. Motion by Nicole, seconded by Carrie. Discussion.
I have a question. Is it a monthly type contract, or is it by event and the amount of snow?
This is a seasonal contract that we break into 5 installments for payment, regardless of snow amount.
Any other discussion? Okay, so the motion is to award the snow and ice contract to Papiti Landscaping. All those in favor, please raise your hand. That is Carrie, Danelle, Nicole, Dawn, Rachel, and Elizabeth. All those opposed, please raise your hand. Carl opposes. Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. Next, act on DRIP funding project. Is there a motion?
Motion to act on DRIP funding project.
Motion by Nicole, is there a second?
I'll second.
Carrie, discussion.
Could you be more specific on what that is?
Curbside. Right.
Drip?
Yeah, does it have to be in the motion? I mean, I have notes about it, but like,
Should I amend? Just be more specific? I'll amend my original motion to act on the DRIP funding project to include the curbside repair.
I guess you could say district.
District curbside repair.
Accept that amendment?
I accept that.
And this was discussed earlier, but is there any further discussion? You're typing away. I want to give you a second, just in case you want to think of a question. Okay. Comment. All those in favor, please raise your hand. And that is unanimous. Next is to act on the new course proposal.
I'll make a motion that we accept the UConn CE environmental science proposal.
Second.
Okay, motion by Danielle, second by Nicole. Any discussion? It's very exciting.
It's very exciting.
Very cool.
Okay, seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please raise your hand. That is unanimous. Next, we will entertain a motion to enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing the agreement with the CSEA Local 2001 school custodians and paraeducators, comma, and paraeducators. Inviting the superintendent.
So moved.
Nicole moved.
I'll second it.
I think that
Elizabeth's moved it first, I think, and